I'm Dr. Mina Blasey, and today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about state assessments. In the United States, typically in grades 3rd through 8th grade, it could be 2nd grade in some states, and at least 1 grade in high school, students take a summative assessment, meaning an assessment that is taken at the end of the school year in English, mathematics, and also probably science. So I'm going to show you what this looks like from the perspective of California. However, you can probably Google state assessment and your state along with it and find those state assessment results. So I'm going to actually share my screen in just a moment. Now I'm sharing my screen with you, and this is the screen where it shares the California Assessment of Student Performance and Progress, also known as CAASPP. And you have the English Language Arts and Literacy and Mathematics. You have the Alternate English Language Arts, Literacy and Mathematics Assessment, also called the California Alternate Assessment. We have the English Language Proficiency Exam, the California Science Test, the Alternate Science Test, and the Spanish Reading and Language Arts Test. Now, I'm going to show you this information. And in the last 2 years, in 2019-20 and then in 2021, the state of California did not mandate the assessment. So even though you see the 2021 data, I'm actually going to go back to the last time we did the actual assessments. So this is the information from 2018-19. And I want to show you this information because this is live data. And even though it's a couple of years old, it still gives you a good glimpse of any particular school district and the actual state. Initially, when you first log into the site, and you will see the state information. So you'll see the state information for English Language Arts, and you will see the state information for mathematics. And you'll see a ring. And this ring represents the blue, meaning students have exceeded the standards for English Language Arts. And the green indicates the students that have at least met the standards for English Language Arts. In the yellow, that means they nearly met. They didn't quite get there or didn't fully understand the English Language Arts content. And then the red or the orangish area is a level 1, and they did not meet it. And typically in the middle, where you see 49.01%, these two, the standard exceeded level 4 and standard met level 3, they combine those two numbers. So you can see that about half of the students in California met the standards for English Language Arts. And then when you go over to mathematics, the same thing. The blue means exceeded the standards. The green means met the standard. The yellow means the level 2 nearly met, almost there. And then the orange color is not met. And you'll see that in the state of California, 33.76% of students met or exceeded the standards in mathematics, which isn't a great number. However, this is the overall state. It's an average of the state. But what you can do is right here, you can search by district. You can search by your particular school. Now, remember, this is public data. Not all school districts actually take the assessment if it's a private school, but this is public data. So if your school is a charter, they possibly could take the assessment. And if they take federal funds, they would have had to at least offer this test to students. And in the state of California, 3rd through 8th grade takes the assessment in English Language Arts and Mathematics, and so does 11th grade. And then in 5th grade, 8th grade, and 11th grade, they also take the science assessment. Now, remember, in the last 2 years, it was not mandated for students to take this assessment. So school districts chose whether or not they wanted to do that because it might have been a little bit more difficult to take the assessment at home or remote. But this year, 21-22, all students that are in a public setting, 3rd through 8th grade and 11th grade, will take this assessment. So this is really good information that can inform what you do at home, maybe with your children or as an educator. And not everybody knows about this information. So it's good data. And you can see that you can actually look at this information by grade. So if I select 3rd grade, I actually have to apply the section this time. And when I apply the section, it will adjust and give you the information on 3rd grade. Now, see, something happens here. notice that we went from 49% in ELA overall, and we went to 48%, 48.5%. And then in math, in third grade, students are doing really well in third grade overall, at least comparatively speaking. And then you can do this by all of the grades. So, and now I'm just going to, just for fun, go all the way to 11th grade. And I'm going to apply the section. So when we look at data, you can look at by the time students go from third to eighth grade, you see something shift. Something happens in mathematics. Students aren't as proficient. Now, I will say in the state of California, students actually only need 2 years of mathematics. I would argue they should have 3 years. Actually, I believe it might be 3 years. I might be wrong. I have to check on that. But I would say that because they don't have to have 4 years of math, and not all students are going to college, they may not have taken the level of mathematics that the CAASPP wants students to be proficient in. And that is what we call integrated math 2. A little bit of algebra and geometry, for example. So, and this is just an overview of what this looks like. And again, I recommend that maybe you want to look at where your child's grade level is as a whole by the state, but you can also do that by school district as well. So actually, students in the state of California need 3 years of mathematics, and it's highly recommended that they take 4 years of mathematics to be prepared for the University of California schools or the California State University schools. So now I want to show you the student groups. These student groups can range from disability status, economic status, English language fluency, race and ethnicity, ethnicity for economically disadvantaged, gender, for example, and actually parent education. So I'm going to say in the state perspective at a glance. And the reason why is because you can choose to just type in right here your actual school site. I recommend if you do type it in, just type in the first 10 characters and let it kind of populate to see if you can find your school. If not, another screen is going to come up if there are other schools that are similar in nature to your school, and you'll just have to do a little bit of very specific searching, which isn't difficult to do. So I'm going to go to parent education, for example, and then I'm going to show you that it says not a high school graduate, some college graduate, graduate school, postgraduate, and then some parents just decline to state. But what I want to do is I'm going to select high school graduate. So if parents graduated from high school and they have children that have taken this assessment. Now take a moment, and I'm going to click all grades for a second. And I want you to see the actual original perspective, for example. And this is the overall for the state of California. And remember, we said that overall it's about 51% and then 39%. They're almost 40% in mathematics overall. Now, remember, it's 2018-19. Now, if I go to parent education, kind of remember that glimpse. And sometimes I take two screens and compare. I go to parent education, and then I go to high school graduate. And I apply the selection. Now, this student group, it means that students that have parents that graduated from high school, on average, they do less than the state does as a whole. So almost 39% of them are proficient in English language arts, and then 26% are proficient in mathematics. And what does this mean? This basically means that as educators, we should be intervening and doing things a little bit differently for students that have parents that just graduated high school. It's not a bad thing. It just gives us information to say, okay, what did these students not necessarily have access to? So, and there's a lot of knowledge around that. I don't want you to think of it as a negative. I want you to think of it as, okay, so maybe these students, maybe the parents actually have a degree in mathematics, so they can help their children in calculus at home. So, and maybe a parent that doesn't have that background, they may need some support. We, as educators, I'm a former science teacher, have the ability to support. So, and that is our role, to support parents in this arena. So that's really good knowledge. And then if we go to parents that have had at least a 4-year degree, this is what happens. So again, these students have different access. compared to parents that just graduated from high school. I'm not saying that parents aren't fully capable. I'm saying that it just may look a little different. So students typically on average in the state of California score at MET or exceeded at almost a 67% rate. And then in mathematics, almost a 56% rate. So there's something to be said around that. And you really, I recommend that when you're moving to an area, you can look at what that looks like in your area. You can even look at it, the race and ethnicity, and you can look at gender, for example. Maybe you want to find out, well, how do females compare to the state? Because as educators, when you're in your school site or your grade level, you can go, okay, so how did my grade level do compared to the state? This is great information. Now we can go down to the student level because we get that information at the district and the school site. So and parents get their own individual child score as well. So you can get some informed information and say, okay, my child didn't do as well on average compared to the state. What can you do to support my child so that they can be ready to go to college or be ready for a career? Now, here's how girls perform compared to the state. And then if we want to change that up and want to see how boys perform compared to the state, you'll see there's a little bit difference in notice that girls outperform boys in English language arts, and boys actually outperform girls in mathematics. And not by very much, but there is something to be said about that. Well, what can you do differently for my son, or what can you do differently for my daughter so that I can help support them in their education? Thank you for joining me today. I appreciate you staying and listening to a brief overview of the California Association of Student Performance and Progress. And next time, please come back so that I can share detailed results and information around English language arts and mathematics. And we'll touch on a little bit of science and compare California to the rest of the United States and the world. Thank you so much.